Girl sues hospital for removing breasts at age 13. This madness has to stop. This madness has to stop. I'm glad that this girl is suing. I think more kids are going to come out and sue because this is ridiculous. You take kids that's at an age that's they're impressionable. At an age of 13, that's when they have identity issues already. And then you push these things on them and have them making permanent decisions that can destroy the rest of their lives. I mean, this is ridiculous that they're allowing this and pushing this on the kids. This has to stop. But before we get started, go ahead and hit that like button, share this out so we can get this information out there. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber, and hit that alarm bell so you know when I'm putting out new stuff. Also, check out my link tree in the description. It has a link to my Patreon where I talk about things I can't talk about here. There's also a link to my Instagram and my merch store where I have I Will Not Comply t-shirts as well. So check those out. All right, let's talk about this news. A lawsuit in California is drawing even more attention to the ongoing social contagion of transgender ideology. The story of Layla, Jane, is sadly an all too familiar horror show that played out when she was at her most vulnerable. And I already alluded to that. This is at 13. That's when you try to find your identity. That's when you try things and know if you try to find out if you like things and stuff like that. And they took the most vulnerable state in a person's life and have them make these permanent decisions. Again, that can prevent them from like even having children and all types of things that goes on with these procedures that they do. But Jane was just 11 years old and already exhibiting symptoms of other mental and emotional challenges when she was somehow convinced that she was a boy, quote, in the wrong body. Only 2 years later, at the age of 13, she had been pushed fully into transition and wound up having a mastectomy. Now she's 18 and she is suing all of the doctors involved, as well as the hospital for running her body and ruining her body and failing to provide her with the mental health care she clearly required. I mean, gosh, I see a lot of these kids in my practice as well. It's sad because a lot of them have issues already, and then you throw these this on top of them where they're already in a bad mental state, and have them make these permanent decisions. But a hospital, the Epic Times noted that a hospital and doctors in California are facing a new lawsuit for removing the breasts of a 13-year-old girl after she claimed she was a boy. The defendants carried out, quote, ideological and profit driven medical abuse when they prescribed her puberty blockers and hormones and later performed a double mastectomy. Charles Lemandry, one of the lawyers representing the plaintiff, Leah Jane, said in a statement. And Jane, now 18, was influenced by people online when she was just 11 and told her parents that she was a boy, prompting them to ask for guidance from doctors. I mean, these parents should know better. I don't understand these parents today. It's crazy. But the details of Layla Jane's experience are truly horrifying. Upon learning of their daughter's gender confusion, Jane's parents took her to three different doctors, including Dr. Doreen Samuelson, who is not named in the suit. All three of them told the family that they could not prescribe hormones or puberty blockers for Layla because of her young age and other emotional issues. They instead recommended counseling and therapy, which I totally agree with that, the therapy and counseling. But Leia was taken to more trans friendly doctors. Again, I blame the parents for this, for allowing this to happen and doing this. You got you got the doctor that recommend therapy, and you totally ignore that and decide to put her on this medication and do these crazy procedures. But Layla was immediately prescribed hormones and puberty blockers after a single 75-minute session with the psychiatrist, not a medical doctor, named Suzanne Watson. One 30-minute appointment with the plastic surgeon named Dr. Winnie Tong resulted in approval for Leia to undergo a mastectomy. Only months later, at the age of 13, her breasts had been removed. Now, at 18 years of age, Leia Jane is undergoing lengthy emotional and mental health counseling. And you see this a lot of people when they try to detransition. They never talk about this. The trans community never talk about detransitioning and how and the studies. And I talked about this study on my Patreon, how these procedures actually does not help. It does not affirm these people identity like they claim. It ends up hurting them in the long run. But this is precisely the sort of treatment she desperately needed, but was never offered as a child. The counseling. The defense will attempt to convince the court that she willingly agreed to the treatment and even requested it herself. Mind you, she was a child of 11, and her parents are not doctors, so they followed the doctor's orders. There were relying on the supposed expertise of medical professionals they were directed to see. So how many more of these horror stories do we need to hear before the medical community and our progressive elected officials begin to wake up? We're talking about the irreversible mutilation of children and experiments with risky drugs that were never approved for these purposes by the FDA. It should be illegal. And these procedures are being banned for underage patients all across Europe. But in the United States, we have people that continue to double down. It needs to end. Layla Jane's body, along with much of her life, has been ruined. It's sad. But she is brave enough to tell her story and potentially help others being lured into this horrible path. Um, and if we can't manage to have the doctors who are engaging in these abusive practices thrown in jail, perhaps bankrupting a few of them will start to get the message across. I wish Miss Jane the best on her journey, along with the full and rapid recovery as much as that's as possible. I mean, again, it's just disgusting what they're doing to our children. I can really get into why they. I can really get into why they're actually doing this, but maybe I'll save that for Patreon and I'll talk about it on Patreon. Why they're actually pushing this agenda, and it's the main reason is because we have some sick people running this country and trying to change our culture. But let me know what you think. Leave your comments down below. Like, share, subscribe, and check out jjthepsychotherapist.com for the latest in news. Until next time, peace.